Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Once again, ScorpioCesar here to bring you the review for the NECA Godzilla 1962. Without much further ado, let's get to the review. Now in terms of the articulation, this is going to be a little tough because this guy is kind of stiff. But given that the sculpt is kind of interfering with a lot of the articulation points, let's just go through it. You can get Godzilla to look left and right. You can actually get him to look up quite a bit. And you use the neck joint as well, which hardly likes to move considering that this is kind of like a rubbery sleeve for the neck. You could get him to look up quite a bit actually, and you could get him to look down. His mouth does open about that much. Yeah, I know it looks weird. We're going to tackle that. The arms. You can get him to rotate all the way around. You can kind of pivot that a bit in and out. There is bicep swivel, and there's also a bend at the elbow. Now do note I had to use hot water to get this moving, and even so it's still very tight, but as you can see I got it to bend quite a bit. That's as much as you're gonna get before the sculpt starts interfering. The hand is on a swivel hinge, and yeah, you also get some finger articulation as well. That's always nice. If you want him to go for the big hug, good luck. You can kind of get his arms to spread out a bit using the joints in the elbows in conjunction with the hands, so you can kind of get him to, you know, want to give you a big hug. Seems like there's a ball joint in there at the waist. You can get him to twist and turn as well. You can also get him to twist about that much. Probably get more out of him, but I'm not going to stress him too much. He is a NECA figure after all. And for the legs, you can get him to spread out a little bit, not too much. You're kind of going to have to rotate the legs a bit, but Jesus Christ, look at the meaty thighs on this guy. Oh boy, Godzilla in the house. You can get those legs to rotate before the sculpt starts rubbing up against each other. There's also a knee hinge, so if you want, you can get that leg to go straight about that much. And for the foot, you can also pivot it, rotate it, and get it to move back and forth like that. The tail is thankfully finally broken up into 5 different segments throughout, with ball joints in between each segment. Thank goodness they dropped the bendy wire, and you can get the tail to rotate around here like this and get it to bend a good amount with minimal gaps, if I do say so myself. This gap here, it could be because I didn't push the ball joint all the way in out of the box, but that's an issue for another time. You might not have that issue, but look at that. You get a really nice range of movement from that, and if you're not careful, oh my god, you will pop that ball joint off at the end. Very simple, just snap it back on like that. So in terms of articulation, he's not the best, but he's also not the worst. He could be a little bit easier to move in certain parts, and some of the hinges on the joints can feel a bit stiff out of the box. Try to take some hot water to that, and you may be luckier than I am with him. But definitely be careful with the sculpt rubbing against each other, and careful with those angle joints. You do not want to break those. Now in terms of the paint, details, and general sculpt, wow, did NECA do a splendid job with this one. The amber paint on the eyes looks pretty good, along with the paint used for the teeth. Didn't really notice any paint bleeds or sloppiness on the face. The pinkish tones they used for the inner mouth also works really well, looks good. And whatever seam lines you find on the head sculpt of Godzilla here are unobtrusive and kept to an overall minimum. I'm really digging it. However, one gripe that I do have before I move down to the rest of the figure is how the bottom jaw looks when it's fully open. Now this is a problem that most of NECA's releases for Godzilla have had since the '94 release, and it's still my biggest complaint with this one. Also, looking at him head on also makes him look like he belongs on PBS, chilling with Super Grover and Elmo, but I digress. Moving down the rest of the figure, you can see how the muddy browns and grays used to help the wonderful sculpted detail really pop. I think they absolutely nailed the classic Showa suit feel, and it looks absolutely wonderful in hand. The claws on the hands and feet are also painted pretty well, and despite them being a little too big for my taste, 100% suit accuracy was not NECA's intention here, so keep your expectations in check, cause it's not like they got Yuji Sakai secretly working in their basement or something. Moving on to the back, once again NECA should be commended for getting as close to the suit's spines as they did with these. The sculpted detail is great, and I'm all for that cream color they chose for them. It's also made of a soft rubbery plastic too, so they can bend and you don't have to worry about them kind of rubbing up against each other during the articulation. The tail also looks good and has a good length. Now, that's what she said, and it's also segmented with ball joints, so they're not really limited by that bendy wiring. Overall, I'm really loving the look and sculpt of this one, and the paint looks great. He's also got a nice heft to him as well, so he doesn't feel cheap at all. He's actually quite heavy, and he's so thick. My gosh, so sexy, my goodness. So in terms of accessories, this Godzilla doesn't come with much, but he does come with a beam effect. It has a very similar sculpt to the one that they released for the 2001 Atomic Blast Godzilla, but this one definitely has a bit more to its sculpt, and it's not just another repaint. It's also got some nice white dry brushing on it that really helps making that detail poppin', if you know what I mean. And it's also made with a nice translucent plastic. Now, little hints of blue would have been nice for this to make it a little bit more accurate, but alright, to get that atomic breath piece into his mouth, all you gotta do is just get it in there towards the center. There's a hole already in there, and just shove it in and make him deep throat that shit, and there you go. He's going to hold on to that, and it's nice and sturdy and secure in there. Sweet. Looks great too. I also try to use the atomic breath effect piece for the 2001 Atomic Blast GMK Godzilla from NECA as well. You can kind of get it in there. It doesn't 100% line up, but it stays in there pretty well until you start tapping him, then it falls out. Now on to the size comparisons with some other figures in my collection. So the final verdict. Well, when this guy was first announced, I was interested. I felt that the Monster Arts announcement was kind of overshadowing this one a bit. Now that I actually have the NECA release in hand, I can honestly say you're getting a steal with this release. Now listen, it's not perfect. The sculpt does get in the way of the articulation more often than not, and that damn underbite pisses me the hell off, but come on. Fans of this design cannot go wrong here, especially if you're on a budget. And besides, this guy is worth owning from the box art alone. Toss in the fact that they added an effect piece with this release and the progress they're making with the tails, and fans have a great alternative to the Monster Arts release, especially at a quarter of the price. So what's next for NECA? Well, I think they did a fantastic job with this release, and I really do hope that they tackle some more of the classic Showa designs. Which classic Showa Godzilla would you like to see tackled next by NECA? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching once again, everybody. I hope you found this review helpful and enjoyable. And if you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and maybe like the video as well. And the end card should be popping up with some more video suggestions for you guys. And once again, thanks for watching and tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you all soon. Ciao.